Hello, Internet people. Welcome back to another episode of Joe's Arcade. This is probably going to be the world's quickest episode of Modeling Joe's Arcade just because I'm a little bit pressed for time, but still want to get something done this week. So, without further ado, I think we're going to listen to Polygon Dwanaland by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard in the background just for some tunes. But yeah, just want to get a little quick something done this week, and that is going to be, hopefully, just getting the ceiling in, and hopefully some of these light box outs. So yeah, let's just get her done real quick. Before I do anything, I'm going to switch to my ceiling layer, and this is going to be a little bit simpler as well than what it is in reality, just because ceilings in a model like this you don't actually use that often, but sometimes you want to have like a view from inside the room is the reason I'm gonna create this. So we'll do it pretty much like the floor was created and just create a little rectangle here, and then I will pull that out to be the length of the room and group it up. And that's going to be my basic ceiling shape. Now to work on this, I'm going to actually turn off the floor. It's going to get a little bit trippy in here. Ooh, check that out. Some scratch line work that I don't want around. I can definitely get rid of that. Here's my floor. Yep, nothing deleted there that I needed. Okay, yeah, so the ceiling. And the other kind of little detail that's in the ceiling is we've got some lights that start, I've got them measured starting from the back of the room here, and there's 4 of them. I've got some dimensions to work off of, and those were measured kind of the width of the individual lights. I got them at 11, 11, 11 and a half. Then this one I had it 10 and 3/4. So what I did is I measured this one and then I measured the others. Looking at that, I'm going to take the standard dimension that they're intended to be as 11 inches. You always get some variability with what's truly installed, and so I'm going to do an 11 inch by 46 and a half light area, and then around that, because you can see this is inside to inside, we've got some trim. And this trim is actually pretty much, that's the wrong PDF there. It's the same dimensions as what we had around the door. It's just a different color. So that's going to be helpful as well. I've actually got a piece of that right here. So I'm going to copy that guy and bring it to where I can work with it. But I will then take this bit and I'll rotate it. I'm going to get it into the plane that I really want to be working with it. So another 90-degree rotation there. And yeah, so I'm going to be working with that on the ceiling here. And so what did I say? We were looking at 46. I'm going to actually check my dimension here. Doobly-doop. 46 and a half inches. 46.5 by 11 inches. 46.5 by 11. And that's made a face here. I don't actually want that, but I'll get rid of it in a short bit. I mostly want it for my just a boundary. So the other thing I want to take a look at is how that light, where the tall side is and the short side. Now, I'm pretty sure I know, but I want to double check and just make sure. The thick side versus the thin side, that's the right words to use. Somewhere around here I had a good view of it. Oh, there we were. Yeah, so the thick side is on the outside, kind of like you'd expect, which means that I have this oriented correctly to go on that side. Okay, Next, I'm going to give it a copy, and I could rotate it 180, but I'm lazy, so I'm going to instead just scale it. And I'll move it over to there. Copy another one. Actually, let's be strategic about this. I'll copy 2 of them, and I'll rotate them 90. And then I've got my edges there and there. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is just extend these guys to the length that they should be, or trim them, I guess, in this case. So extending. Okay. And trim that one. You can probably see where this is headed. That was already in the right spot. It is headed towards an intersect model with face command. Again, just one of the most handy ones out there, I think. Okay, so we'll delete that so I don't have those lines sitting around. Or intersect face with model. What was I talking about? Anyway, I'm going to delete those so I don't have them hanging around. I'll explode these groups, grab them all, and intersect faces with model. Now this has created some truly horrific geometry. I won't lie. But hopefully it can be some pretty easy cleanup here. I'm going to grab these and I'm going to actually put them on the details layer, which is what I should be working on for this. And now that I've done that, I'm going to turn off my ceiling layer, and I guess my furniture layer too. But I'll turn off the ceiling layer. That'll just make it a little bit easier for me to see what's going on. Delete that and some of these faces in here. Got all kinds of lines that are going to have to get cleaned up. Ooh, that arc exploded a little bit more than it should have for some reason. Let's see what happens if I connect that. Yes, I do get my face back. So that's good. I'm going to try to make this a little bit easier to see, actually. And, ooh, working upside down. That's tricky. But I'm going to delete this center thing. I think that'll make it a little bit easier for me to get in here and actually be deleting what I'm after, be able to see more easily what I'm selecting. Lines galore, though. I'm glad I didn't use more face definition than I did on this thing. It's always kind of a balance of, is it going to be a pain to work with versus is it going to look nice? Look at SketchUp Man there upside down. Okay. I've got that done. Let's get that line and that line out of my way. Anything in here that gets deleted isn't desired anyway. Same thing there. These are just scratch lines. And for whatever reason, these arcs on the ends seem to continually stay as a single arc, which I'll be honest, I'm not complaining about that. It makes it a lot easier to delete them. One corner to go here. Get both of those in one fell swoop. And that's my edge I want to keep. Oh, I think I've deleted something here that I didn't want to delete. Let me bring that back. Try again. Yeah, I didn't delete that. That was part of it. And now I'll get rid of this. Yeah, something has gone wrong here. I think if I do that, yeah, it'll bring it back. Okay, that's cool. And now I'll reconnect these lines, and if I've done everything right, they should face up. That one's good at least. I want to get my correct endpoint here. There we go. Okay. Sweet. So yeah, now I've created that. And let's go ahead and bring our ceiling layer back on. And furniture. Shouldn't have been frozen in the first place. I want to find the midpoint here in this and just draw a line through there so I can line up with it, because these are centered in the room, at least as far as I can tell from my notes. And I'm gonna just align that to center. Okay, so now taking a look at my notes, they're actually lined up from this back wall edge. So like that. And let's see where I've got these things. I measured them to and from a consistent point, so it's going to be real easy to pull them off here. First one is 47 inches. Next one is, from that point, 81.25 inches. Then we've got one at 96.75 inches, and that should be lined up with our door here, at least according to the rough sketch I've got. And it seems to be pretty close. This sketch is by no means to scale. And then we've got 79.5 inches to there. That I'd say looks pretty good. Now these do have some texture to them. They're kind of like a painted white. So I want to just take a quick look, see what surfaces I've got. Like this quartz light gray. I don't think this is going to be what I want. Well, I take it back. That looks pretty good, I think. If you don't look too closely at it, you can't tell it's stone. So I'm going to use that for these because they've got a little bit of like a textured paint to them. Can barely tell from a distance, but some texture is always good, I think. Okay. So I've got those, and now I'm going to switch back to my ceiling layer. Not going to do anything super intense for the lights right now, but I will jump in and just create a face. On my ceiling surface that can get textured to kind of represent those lights. Oh, don't go in there. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to copy the edges of this face. To my other lights. Okay. I'll punch them through. This way, if I decide to do a more complicated light object at some point, I have that option. I'll break out of that group and just create kind of roughly what that object could be. Can't do a uniform offset, of course, because these aren't uniformly spaced, but there's not too many of them to copy it to. There's that. And I also want to group my ceiling and my lights together, because those should always be moving as a single unit. Let's see what materials we might have in here that could look good for that. I don't think there's really anything that is gonna wow me into using it here. Light textures are definitely not a simple thing to do, and these lights don't actually have a covering on them, so it makes them even a little bit more difficult to pull off. Yeah, I think for the moment those are going to remain untextured, and I might come back and add a little bit more detail, maybe a photo texture or something like that, to kind of flesh that out a little bit more later. But for now, let's turn the floor back on. We've got our lights at least in position, and kind of easy to modify from there. So yeah, like I said, quick one, but at least getting something done here, and we'll see you next week. Bye.